Hello, my honeys. If you're new here, I'm Healthy Emmie, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my honest experience after 8 years on the Starch Solution. The Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall contains life-changing information that has changed the course of my life, my family's life, and my clients' lives forever. Through working with thousands of clients in a one-on-one setting, I've been able to use the principles that are talked about in the Starch Solution as a springboard to create my own custom formula to guide my clients through the process of not just losing weight, but maintaining weight loss for the long term. So today I'm going to be talking about my background and what got me to this point, an overview of the Starch Solution, and then I'm going to be talking about the additions and alterations that I've made to the Starch Solution that are a little bit different than the normal protocol for my clients in my program through the experience that I've had in finding what specific needs are of the thousands of people that I've worked with, the commonalities that aren't addressed through just the Starch Solution, and how we can add that on. I actually don't have a copy of the book on hand because I've just lent it out to a family member, and this is not the first time I've done this. I have purchased this book more times than I can count to give and gift to other people because it is such a fantastic starting point to give you an overview in an easy to digest way of what a whole food plant-based diet done the proper way looks like. But as I said, I do not follow it like the Bible. I have made some additions and alterations to it, which I'm going to talk about today. Starting out with my background, if you don't care about me, I'm not going to be offended. You can skip ahead, but I will be watching. So I grew up in a standard American household eating a standard American diet. For dinner, we'd have chicken one night and we'd have ziti the next night. We pretty much just bounced between those two things for my entire life. I didn't know really anything about nutrition. There wasn't any junk food in my house. We weren't, a fast food family. We ate pretty normally, I guess you would say, what is pretty standard. We had chicken, there was some broccoli, ziti, nothing crazy, but I didn't know a lick about nutrition. 8 years ago, I went on a whole food plant-based diet. The reason why I went on a whole food plant-based diet is because I'm a runner and I always wanted to be the best, fastest runner I could possibly be. And in marathon training, I stumbled upon Rich Roll, who is an ultra marathon runner. And as I quickly learned when I stumbled upon him one day 8 years ago, he eats a plant-based diet. And I'm the type of person, when I make a decision, I'm making that decision, and watch out, the decision has been made from the second that I learned that he was eating a plant-based diet and I learned about a plant-based diet. That very day, I said, all right, we're doing this thing. I'm going plant-based. I didn't even go plant-based overnight. I went plant-based in that very moment. And I remember to work that day, I had brought for myself an animal product breakfast and I threw it out. And I went to the grocery store and I just bought a bunch of grapes to eat because I didn't know what I needed to eat, but I knew that I didn't want to eat food that had ingredients lists. I wanted to eat real whole food. And I liked grapes and I didn't have to cook the grapes and I was at work, so I couldn't cook. So I ate a ton of grapes that day. I ate potatoes that night and there I was. Whole food plant-based, I decided in that moment. But to be honest, I didn't really know how to properly do this. I mean, I wasn't a nutritionist at that time. I was a very smart girl that could do a lot of research, but I hadn't done the research yet. I hadn't learned anything. All I knew was I'm eating whole plant foods, no animal products, nothing that has ingredients lists. So I ate a ton of fruit, I ate a ton of potatoes, and then I started to learn, how do I really do this? I picked up a copy of the Starch Solution, and that's when it all clicked for me. I couldn't live on just fruit. I couldn't live on just vegetables. I needed to have starch as the main component of my diet. As Dr. John McDougall says, all populations through verifiable human history that have been the leanest, the trimmest, and the healthiest have thrived on a diet of starch. And coming from my Irish background, your girl likes potatoes. So I was very happy about this news. I started to learn how to properly and sustainably eat a whole food plant-based diet, and I transitioned my parents over to the lifestyle as well. And when I saw their health transform, I said, okay, I'm sold on this, because my dad, who was obese, and my mom, who had very high cholesterol and was struggling with menopause weight gain, their health and their lives and their weight transformed. And when I saw it happen to people that I love, and I felt like I was adding on years to the lives of people that I like to think are immortal but are not, that's priceless. If you can watch your parents get healthier as they get older, that is a gift. And from that moment, when I saw it happen with my parents, who normally children will watch their parents get older, sicker, and they'll have to take more care of them, I was watching my parents get healthier, more lively, happier, lighter, freer, passionate about this way of eating. It was like a new lease on life that we all were given, and I became obsessed. So at this time, I was in college, I was getting my degree, and I said, I'm going to start making YouTube videos about this. You know, I'm a teacher, and I want to teach people how to live this way, because I saw the incredible transformation that my parents were having, and I was feeling great as well through my running. But really, it was watching them that made me say, wow, people can really get their lives back just by changing their diet. So I started to make content on YouTube about plant-based nutrition and how to eat this way. And I was researching this 24/7. Every single book, every single podcast, every single YouTube video. This was 8 years ago. I read it. I read every single newsletter from Dr. McDougall, every single one that is available. I read every book multiple times. I could recite this stuff in my sleep. And I feel that the gift that I have is the ability to take information that is either complex or uninteresting to those who don't have an interest in it, and presenting it in a very easy to digest way and make it mean something to those who are consuming it. So I started to make my YouTube videos, and I started to put out content about eating this way and living this way and how it can change your life. Then I started to grow a following on social media, and my passion about this was through the roof. At this time, I was getting my degree, and I got my degree. I graduated from college. I got a job. I was a teacher. I was teaching algebra and geometry. And I said, this doesn't feel right to me. Standing in a classroom talking about the Pythagorean theorem to kids who, let's just call a spade, they're not dying to hear about the Pythagorean theorem. I'm sorry, Pythagoras, but I'm sorry. You're a bit of a has-been. I could do that inside a classroom with 20 kids, or I could focus all of my energy to help thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people get a new lease on life and become advocates for their health and their body and their lives. Easy decision. So I decided that I wanted to pursue this full time. So I went back to school. I became a nutritionist. I started taking clients. And now I have my Slim on Starch program with an entire team of nutrition coaches that come from backgrounds of naturopathic doctors, registered dietitians, holistic nutritionists. I have my mindset coaches, a team of mindset coaches that come from the background of being therapists, personal trainers, professors, hypnotherapists. It's amazing, the team that I'm surrounded by. And we get to help clients get their lives back. So this is how obsessed with this I really am. I left everything behind. I moved across the world actually to pursue this, to really be able to focus on it. And here I am now. Now, I have worked with thousands of clients in a one-on-one setting, and I've learned so much about the unique needs of individuals in order to make this massive lifestyle change. And I've used the Starch Solution as a springboard, but from working with thousands of clients in a one-on-one setting and getting to know them intimately, I've learned that this is a lot more than what we just get from a book. It's not always what you're eating, but it's what's eating you. And while I have made alterations to the actual diet itself, which I'm going to talk about next, actually after I give an overview of the Starch Solution, what I really honed in on in my program is mindset. So I'm going to talk about the alterations that I've made, but let me start by just giving an overview of the Starch Solution. So now let's talk about an overview of the Starch Solution. The Starch Solution diet is made up of 4 main categories: starches, vegetables, fruits, legumes. The things that you're not eating on the starch solution are oils and animal products. Animal products contain meat, cheese, dairy, eggs, fish, fowl. Something else about the starch solution is that the diet is kept to be low fat. And for those that are looking to lose weight, to really not have any fats whatsoever. So no avocado, no nuts, no seeds. As part of the starch category of the starch solution, you can have things like potatoes, rice, oatmeal, corn, pasta, bread, tortillas, anything that's a starch. Dry cereals, crackers. For the vegetable category, you can have any vegetables. For the fruit category, you can have any fruits. And for legumes, we're talking about things like beans, peas, and lentils. You want to make sure that you are not cooking anything with oil. You can have any and all of the foods that I just listed. And as Dr. John McDougall suggests, to make the majority of your intake come from starch. So Dr. John McDougall will suggest that the majority of your plate is filled up with starch. Everything that I just mentioned is the basis of the starch solution diet, and I have made some alterations to that diet for my clients within my program. So I said at the beginning of this video that I have purchased the Starch Solution book for more people that I can count as a gift. I've given it to my literal dentist. However, I do make alterations to the diet for my clients because there are some principles that I've worked with thousands of clients in a one-on-one setting, and a lot of women especially, and I've found that we do have to make some alterations for long-term success. I've made alterations in terms of the nutrition side of things as well as the mindset side of things. And specifically in my Slim on Starch program, you will see these differences made. And so I'm going to talk about some of these now. The first distinction that I make for my clients is looking at the difference between a weight loss diet versus a weight maintenance diet. So the way that I work with my clients is we start together through 6 weeks of the Slim on Starch program where we are really honing in on weight loss. And we are forming a very strong foundation that is just going to be around those weight loss foods in a weight loss diet. Well, we don't lose weight forever, and we have to learn how to eat foods that aren't technically weight loss foods, which is why after our 6 weeks of work together, we move into what I call with my clients the Master's Program, where we're eating some more foods that will allow them to maintain their weight loss in the long term and not just have to eat a weight loss diet for the rest of their life. Now, the way that the Starch Solution is presented, in my opinion, the Starch Solution book, in and of itself, that diet is a weight loss diet for those that are in the obese category or for those that are coming from a very high calorie standard American diet. It is also a weight maintenance diet for those that are not looking to lose weight. However, there are a lot of people, and some people that I work with, that aren't in the obese category, and they're not coming from a super high calorie standard American diet. Or they're not in weight maintenance, they still want to lose weight, and they don't meet one of those 2 criteria. Therefore, some of these people will come to the Starch Solution diet, and they'll adopt a diet where they're eating a ton of pasta, a ton of starch on their plate, not very many vegetables, and they're not finding success. So the way that I've sort of taken care of this is by having us hone in on a surefire weight loss diet where we're holding off on having so much starch. We're not going to be filling the plate with 70 to 90% starch, which I've heard suggested in the Starch Solution lifestyle. We're going to be filling the plate with more vegetables. And we're also going to be focusing on the starches that are more productive to weight loss, as opposed to the starches that I would consider to more so be weight maintenance starches. Things like bread, pasta, corn tortillas, I consider those to be weight maintenance starches, whereas the rest of the starches I would consider to be weight loss starches. So in the Starch Solution, they just present all of the starches as everybody needs to eat these no matter your background, where you're going, or what your goals are. Whereas I have the list of starches, and I know which ones are the ones for weight loss, I know which ones are the ones for weight maintenance, And that really depends on where the client is coming from and what their goals are. So by working with my clients on a more intimate basis, I can assess their background and what their goals are and take from the list of starches which ones are going to be the most productive to them. Something that we don't see in the plain Jane starch solution diet is, okay, these starches are going to be best for weight loss. These ones are going to be best for weight maintenance. Oh, and we have to consider what your diet is coming from and where your weight is starting. The second alteration that I've made from the starch solution diet is the philosophy that the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And I'm sure you've heard this if you have explored the starch solution a bit, that the fat you eat is the fat you wear. This is a principle that I disagree with. I do not agree that the fat you eat is the fat you wear, because I eat healthy fats. I eat avocado, I'll eat seeds, I'll have nut butters, and I'm not putting on excess weight because of it. And I've worked with thousands of clients one-on-one to help them incorporate fats in a very sustainable way so that they can still get the benefits from adding those foods, but don't experience the weight gain and health issues that come from adding those foods. You see, weight loss happens when you're in a calorie deficit, and weight gain happens when you're in a calorie surplus. Therefore, if you are eating a surplus of 5,000 calories of just pasta, you're going to gain weight, versus if all you eat in one day is 500 calories of cupcakes, you're going to lose weight. Is this something that I suggest you do? Absolutely not, because neither of those are healthy. What I suggest you do is eat a whole food plant-based diet that naturally puts you into a calorie deficit, i.e. the starch solution, i.e. my Slim on Starch program, so that you don't have to either focus on, I just need to eat foods that are low fat, or I just need to be in a calorie deficit. That we can get into a relationship with food that's pretty dicey. If the fat you ate was the fat you wear, then you could eat 100 calories worth of, let's say, I don't know, avocado a day, or 100 calories worth of nuts a day, and eat nothing else, and you would gain weight. That simply defies the laws of thermodynamics. If you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to lose weight. And it really doesn't matter what you're eating if you're in that big of a calorie deficit. Therefore, I have learned how to myself and with my clients appropriately incorporate foods like avocado, nuts, seeds, nut butters, seeds, seed butters. What else is high fat? That's all that's coming to mind for me. In an appropriate manner, specifically in my master's program, so that we can get the benefits of having those foods, not just the physical health benefits, but also just living in a world where these foods are around. You know, if I'm going to go for brunch with my boyfriend, being able to order avocado toast is going to make my life a lot easier than there being absolutely nothing else on the menu that I can order. And then just speaking to the hormonal side of things, in order for estrogen to be created, estrogen is created by fat and fat cells. And if you are in a lean body, if you're in a healthy body and you don't have enough body weight, body fat on you, you have to get that fat from somewhere. And eating healthy fats is a way to help with estrogen production. So it allows for healthy hormone production in individuals that don't have a lot of fat on their bodies. So the way that I do it with my clients is when we're in the weight loss phase, we're not eating those high fat foods because they're high in calories. But when we get into the master's program, we learn how to appropriately incorporate those back in. And if you disagree, if you believe that the fat that you eat is the fat you wear, I'm not going to fight you. I'm just going to say, for those of you that want to explore being able to eat healthy fats, i.e. avocado, nuts, seeds, come on over. I would love to show you how to do that. Another alteration that I've made, and I'm not sure if alteration is the best word here, perhaps addition. An addition that I have made to the starch solution is what I call in my Slim on Starch program, your signature system. My clients, specifically through our master's program, work together. And in case you're wondering, somebody, in order to get into the master's program, you have to do the Slim on Starch program to begin with. We create your signature system. Your signature system is what allows you to intentionally indulge in foods that are not technically the most health promoting whole food plant-based foods in the world on a very intentional basis, where you are doing it in a well thought out manner because you've looked big picture and it contributes to the sustainability of this lifestyle, as well as improving your social relationships, your ability to travel, to see other cultures, to live your life. This is something that I feel is missing with a lot of people who do a fantastic job reading the Starch Solution book, understanding it, and implementing it, is that they don't know where to go from there. They know how to do it inside their house, but they don't know how to travel. They don't know what to do on their birthday. They don't know what to do on date night. They can't expand out further. And then they yo-yo between doing the Starch Solution perfectly and being a shut-in in their house, and then going out and living life, which is why I had a lot of clients who did beautifully during COVID, because there wasn't a need to form their signature system, it's really tricky to think about. What am I going to do on all of these occasions? And it's a huge thing that we dedicate in the master's program, is creating your signature system. So that's just something that I've seen missing from those who have come to me and have read the Starch Solution, and they say, but I don't know what to do for the rest of my life. Another alteration that I've made from a nutritional standpoint is the Starch Solution has a really big focus on making the majority of the intake starch. I've heard figures from 70 to 90% of your plate should be starch. And I personally take a philosophy of incorporating more vegetables and not having as huge a component of starch and bringing in more vegetables. So with me, I turn the starch component ratio down a little bit. I bring in some more vegetables. And even with some of my weight loss clients, depending on where they're starting from, we will have the addition of healthy fats, just because if they're starting in an obese body, then their basal metabolic rate is so high. They just burn so many calories that we need to make sure they're not in too much of a calorie deficit. So those are my alterations. I put out the difference between the weight loss diet versus the weight maintenance diet. The fat you eat is the fat you wear is something that I disagree with, and I teach my clients how to appropriately incorporate that macronutrient. I have the clients form their signature system, in which they will choose when they're going to have birthday cake on their birthday, or when they're going to go to Paris and have whatever cuisine is there and all of that good stuff. And I have changed the ratios of the plate a little bit to make sure that you're getting in more vegetables. Now, the other huge component that I've added on to this lifestyle is mindset, because it's not just what you're eating, but it's what's eating you. And our relationship with food is often a reflection of what we've been through in our past and our relationship with ourselves. It's also a reflection of what's going on with us in work, in our social life, in our other relationships. And especially with my clients, I find that one of the primary relationships that they have is with food. And it's clouding out their ability to fully excel in the other parts of their lives, in their other relationships. Not just romantic relationships, friendships, and family, but also in their careers and what they want to make out of their lives. They can't fully access it because their relationship with food is clouding things up so much, or they're physically in a body that doesn't allow them to live life to its fullest. So while my clients work with me, they also work with a nutrition coach. They also work with a mindset coach, because mindset is huge. There are three main things that I want to talk about that I've implemented into my program from the mindset side of things. The first thing that I've added on here is helping my clients develop a food philosophy. This will allow them to make decisions around food that are aligned with the person that they want to be. And oftentimes, when we make a decision, we always want to ask ourselves, is this action aligned with the person that I want to be? When it comes to food, we don't usually ask ourselves that. So by helping my clients develop a food philosophy, this will allow them to, every time they eat, make the decision and ask themselves, is this plate of food, is this action that I'm taking around food aligned with the person that I want to be? Or is this helping reinforce a behavior that I'm trying to get rid of? Another huge component of mindset that I talk about with my clients is hunger fullness cues. When we're trying to lose weight, we often hear you need to count calories, you need to eat tiny portions, you need to restrict, you need to intermittent fast. Basically, whatever those hunger fullness cues are, turn them off, kick them to the curb. Their rent is late, evicted. We don't do that here. We need to learn to embrace our hunger fullness cues. And it sounds simple, but what I've learned from working with thousands of clients intimately is that there is a huge distrust between my clients and their bodies, because they've been at war with their bodies for decades. And so I can understand if I say, hey, just listen to your hunger cues. They go, Emmie, I've been completely disconnected from my body. I have learned how to shut those off. So I have no idea how to listen to my hunger cues. So a big component of what I talk about with my clients as well is learning how to trust your body again, learning how to read the signals that your body is sending you, how to eat intuitively, and how to trust your body. And then the last big component that I talk about mindset-wise is primary foods. We so often hear in the plant-based community, it's the food, just change the food, just change the food, just change the food. Then why is it that I get so many clients who have changed the food that are still having issues? Because it's more than just what goes on our plate. And this is where the concept of primary foods comes in. And primary foods is not the food that's on your plate, it's the food beyond your plate. It's your relationships, your hobbies, your interests, your spirituality. It's the things that light you up outside of food. And what I find with so many of the clients that I work with is that they draw a blank here. And food and really the only thing that lights them up is food. And if you feel this, you are not alone. Release the shame that you might have for that, because I've seen this with many, many clients. And this is why a whole module in my program is dedicated to finding your primary foods. What are you interested in outside of food? And if we can focus on that, then the obsession with food and the fixation on food and body image and weight loss fades into the background. And you can live life to its fullest, something that so many people aren't able to do. But if you are watching this video, you have the resources and circumstances to be able to access a beautiful life that 99% of the population doesn't get to. So let's focus on primary foods so that you can do that. So yes, I've made some alterations to the incredible book that the Starch Solution is. It has been a beautiful springboard to allow me to help thousands of people live life to their fullest. And I'm so grateful for everything that has come with that book to allow me to make the proper additions and alterations to help people succeed in the long term. Dr. John McDougall, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being a godsend to the health community and allowing all of us to get our lives back. If you want to work with me and my team inside of the Slim on Starch program, click the link in the down bar. And if you liked this video, then you will love the next video that's going to pop up on the screen, because YouTube says that it's the right one for you. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one.